Hello, fam. Thanks for joining us in our channel. Make sure you're in a spot where you can relax and enjoy the story. Get your popcorn ready, and let's start. What a way to start Friday. I was woken up by a warm mouth nursing my clock. I laid flat on my back and propped my head up with a pillow. As much as I wanted to pin her head in place, I knew she wouldn't finish me off if I did. We had spent 2 hours Thursday night playing with each of our various souls. After a few pleasurable minutes, Jeanette, my wife of 3 years, climbed on top, and we crossed the finish line together. She laid her head on my chest. Life is good. That's all you get until Monday. Afraid the others will get jealous when they hear your screams of joy. Something like that. Well, in that case, no more for you until Monday too. That got me a giggle and rolling of eyes. And so our Friday began. We both taken the day off. Jeanette also took Monday off. I was running short of vacation days, so we were driving back Sunday night so I could get into work on Monday. We were headed to the mountains for a weekend of skiing. Jeanette's best friend Tatiana and her husband Steve had rented a cabin with us about 5 miles from the ski resort. We did the same trip with them a year ago. Another couple would be joining us on Saturday. Tatiana was Jeanette's maid of honor, and vice versa, with each wedding a month apart. Steve is your typical high school jock without the talent to go any further. All he seems to be able to talk about are his glory days. I can probably repeat most of his home runs, game-winning baskets, and touchdown passes. For whatever reason, Jeanette hangs on every recitation. Maybe it's because she was a jock in high school too. She and Tatiana were starters on both the volleyball and basketball teams. They have the same physique, with each closing in on 6 slender feet tall. Probably because she's heard them so many more times than I have, Tatiana just stares at nothing in particular when Steve recounts his stories. It's not like I didn't participate in high school sports. I was the starting point guard on the junior varsity team 3 years in a row. They don't allow seniors to play on the junior varsity team, so I devoted my efforts to taking college prep classes. Although Steve has a college degree, I would never hire him. Actually, all 4 of us have college degrees. I'm about 10 credit hours away from getting my master's. I still need to do my thesis, and that could delay things. According to my mentor, I should plan on something in the 60-page range. I've made an outline, but this is going to tax my abilities. As it should be, I guess. Having a master's says something to employers. Jeanette Bart, make sure to take your golf clubs out, so we'll have room for groceries. Yes, sir. Anything else, sir? Cute. Just do it. I made my way to the garage. As the garage door crawled upward, the light flickered underneath my car. Since I had my oil changed yesterday, I thought I should check it out. Grabbing a folded-up tarp, I cast it open and dropped it on the concrete floor. Kneeling down, I saw a few drops underneath the oil pan. Dabbing my finger in it, there wasn't any doubt, it was oil. How tough is it to make sure the oil drain plug is tight? Obviously much tougher than I thought. Sliding back from underneath the car, I grabbed my socket set and wiggled to within striking distance. Sure enough, I tightened the bolt about 1/2 of a rotation. It was snug now. Oh crap, I forgot a paper shop towel. One more time, out and back, and the problem was cleaned up. I put the tarp back and went inside to wash my hands. You ready to go? Almost. Let me wash up first. What did you get into? They didn't tighten the oil pan bolt again. They might be cheap, but you have to watch their work. Hurry up or we'll be late. Yes, sir. That got me a stern look, complete with pursed lips. We met Tatiana and Steve at the grocery store near the cabin, if you can call 10 miles near. You'd have thought that we were staying a month. 2 full shopping carts full of you name it. Popping my trunk, I saw my golf clubs. Damn it, Dale. I asked you to take those out. They must have jumped back in when I wasn't looking. That got me another stern look, complete with pursed lips. The back seat was full of sleeping bags and suitcases. A mishmash of groceries joined them. Only a few sacks fit in the trunk. Jeanette was quiet on the last leg up to the cabin. Once we reached the cabin, we set about emptying the cars. I started with our back seat. After several trips, Tatiana and I were headed back to the cars. We passed Jeanette and Steve with their arms full. Looks like you've got the last load. See you inside. Tatiana grabbed the last bag of groceries from her car. I heard the slamming of her trunk. On an earlier trip, a few items had tried to escape. Stopping to pick them up, I was slightly behind Tatiana getting to my car. My trunk was open and there were 2 bags left. Off in the distance we heard a very loud explosion. This time of year, especially after the snow, sleet, snow sequence, the highway department does avalanche control. What that normally involves is closing a highway, then strategically guessing where some explosives might start a controlled avalanche. The highway department is not exactly known for snatching the cream of a graduating class. Tatiana and I looked up the mountain and saw the start of a small avalanche. I'd seen this happen twice before. They cascade down for maybe 10 seconds and then stop. This time was different. What started as something about 20 feet across had now widened to several hundred feet. You could hear it coming, like an approaching train. Sheet. It's headed towards us. In the car. In the car. Slamming the trunk close, I jumped in the driver's side, and Tatiana slid into my car on the passenger side. The approaching noise was scary. We both watched in horror as the mountain of snow approached. Brace for impact. I buried my head on the steering wheel. Tatiana brought her knees up and curled into a ball. The impact pushed my car about like a puck on ice. We slammed into something hard after what seemed like a minute. I suspect it was only a few seconds, but I was scared for my life. At one point I heard Tatiana screaming, like a teenager on a roller coaster going down that first drop. My chest felt like it was going to explode. My pulse had to be over 100. My head hurt. It was completely dark. I'm alive. Are you alright, Tatiana? I think I'm okay. My head hurts a little. I banged it hard on the dash. It feels like we're tilted. I agree, your sight is higher than mine. I found the dome light switch and flicked it on. Viola. Let there be light. Tatiana sounded concerned. You're bleeding just above your right eye. Check me out. Nice hair, shapely, cute smile. What exactly am I checking out? Googling. I take it I'm not bleeding. Well, not the areas I can see as I winked. Tatiana blushed. We sat quietly for a few minutes. I tried to open my door, but we were pinned tight. There was a big dark area, without snow, near the front right wheel. The lighting wasn't good, but it appears that a few very large trees had made a roof over our heads. If we could tap into that hole, we'd have enough oxygen to live for a few days. We have to make sure to run a fan to circulate the carbon dioxide. It isn't the lack of oxygen that kills you, it's the CO2 reaching fatal levels. You didn't happen to bring that last sack of groceries with you? Tatiana shook her head no, then asked, do you think Steve and Jeanette survived? I don't know. I've never seen how cabins fare when an avalanche of that size strikes them. My heart sank. What if Jeanette didn't survive? My eyes misted and I wiped away a few tears. Glancing over, Tatiana was doing the same. Tatiana pondered, I guess we haven't completely survived yet either, have we? Not until we are breathing some of that sun-warmed air. I wonder if anyone will even realize we are buried. I tried to horn. It worked. At least we have a way of signaling rescuers. Every hour or so, or when we hear activity, we can honk. After an hour of near silence, Tatiana announced, I don't want to die. Agreed. I wasn't aware that today was my last day on Earth. Even though we don't have phone service, I'm going to draft some texts telling those that I love how much I love them. What a great idea. I wish I had my phone with me. I do the same. You can use my phone. I typed for about 10 minutes before my emotions overwhelmed me. Passing the phone to Tatiana, she experienced the same feelings. We passed the phone back and forth for the next 2 hours. Each of us had compassed several messages from beyond the grave. We hadn't heard a thing. The battery seemed to be holding out okay, but we were now turning off the dome light when we rested. I'm getting a little chill, Jeanette worried. I wish we'd emptied the trunk first. The sleeping bags would still be in the back seat. Hey, I have my golf clubs in the trunk. There's a way to get into the trunk by putting down the back seats. I have my winter gloves and rain outfit. I think I have windbreakers too. Climbing into the back seat, I found the release latch. It still worked. Using my cell phone for light, I stuck my head into the trunk. Emerging a minute later, I had gloves, hats, coats, and a pair of rain pants. I also grabbed the last 2 sacks of groceries. Yum, celery sticks, frozen cauliflower, and potato chips were the highlights. We weren't going to starve. Remembering that I had a couple of energy drinks in the golf bag, I headed back into the trunk. When I emerged, I couldn't help myself and started laughing when I saw Tatiana wearing the golf gear. Warmer. Yes, this really helps. Can I fix you a celery stick? If it's not too much trouble. For you, I'll make an exception. I stretched out in the back seat and put on the remaining golf attire. Tatiana lowered the passenger seat as flat as she could. I wish we had a blanket, Tatiana stated. Hey, I've some of those tiny towels I use to clean my clubs. We can cover our faces with them. I returned to the trunk and brought back both of my golf towels. I propose we could pull up the floor mats. It's not much, but it might help. And so we did. Each of us took one from the front and one from the back. We draped them over us, then put the small towels over our faces. It really helped. We closed our eyes and rested. When I awoke, I realized I'd taken a 2-hour nap. Tatiana was still purring, which is how women like to describe their snoring. Rather than waking her by honking the horn, I laid there pondering my life and current predicament. I don't want to die. Would they find us before the spring thaw? Would we die an hour before they found us? Your own mind can be a cruel tormentor. My mom is going to be devastated. I hope Jeanette survived. Tatiana woke with a start and screamed. It's okay, Tatiana. I'm still here. Crying, it was a terrible dream, Dale. I saw our skeletons in the car. I don't want to die. Without asking, Tatiana climbed into the back seat, hold me. Her warmth felt good. I'm not going to try to deny it. We stayed that way for 15 minutes before she scampered back into the front seats. What time is it? Just after 7 p.m. The sun has been down for almost 2 hours now. That's why it's getting colder. Will we starve to death, freeze, or run out of oxygen? I think we're okay with everything but freezing. I could use some water. Turning the key on, I found that the driver's side window was stuck. Both passenger side windows came down a few inches. I checked that they would go back up, then lowered them again. We took the opportunity to suck on some snow to get water. With a little effort, Tatiana was able to punch a hole into the dark hole. We had our oxygen supply. After running the fan for 10 minutes, I rolled the windows up again. With our horn honking regularly, I could only hope that somewhere off in the distance someone was thinking, what was that noise? Tatiana brought up what I was thinking, I need to pee. Me too. Suggestions. It appears that the car is tilted down towards the left front tire. I'm going to get in the driver's seat. Don't look. Wait, let me get my camera out and shoot a video. You'll die of a beating if you do. The sounds and smells of urine filled the car. Once Tatiana was finished, she returned to the passenger seat. I ungracefully took my spot in the driver's seat. A little help here. Chuckling, Tatiana responded, where's the knife? Never mind, I think I've got it. I don't mind if you stare in disbelief. Looking away, just let me know when you're done. Can we roll the window down again? I'm still thirsty. I need another mouthful of snow. I emptied my bladder, turned the key on, and the windows slid down. Since the window was down, I ran the fan. After lamenting our predicament, we tried to settle in for the evening. After lying still for 30 minutes, Tatiana questioned, can we lay together? Are you going to behave? Do you want me to? Chuckling, what I want and what I know I'm bound to do, at this point in time, are two very different things. I think you should spoon me, as I don't want to be accused of poking you all night long. Tatiana climbed into the back seat, situated herself against the seat back, and pulled me in close. Press hard into me. I'm freezing. After draping us with the floor mats, Tatiana draped her right arm over my chest, pulling me closer. Her body warmth felt way too good. If her hand drifted lower, my discomfort would be discovered. With our faces covered with golf towels, sleep eventually overtook us. I didn't know how long we'd been sleeping, but Tatiana pushed me away. I need to pee. Rolling away, I watched Tatiana take her position in the driver's seat. The sounds and smells of urine filled the car again. Checking my watch, I learned it was almost 5 am. Tatiana established our cuddle position again. Neither one of us was sleepy. What are you going to do if Jeanette is dead? I don't understand your question. Are you going to move away or stay here? Oh, stay here. Regardless, I'm sticking around to get my master's. How about you? What if Steve is dead? Probably move back to live with my parents until I get over grieving. How much longer do we have before they start comparing us to the Donner Party? I chuckled, about a week. We have plenty of water, and the groceries are probably going to last 3 or 4 more days. It's hard to tell if we have enough oxygen. Surely someone is looking for us. Since it was the highway department, I would agree. Speaking of which, let me sound the horn again. I snuggled back into Tatiana. Her hand slid underneath my shirt. Warm flesh against flesh felt good. We talked about everything and nothing for a few hours. After eating some potato chips and finishing the celery, we settled in, and soon we were drifting off to sleep. When I awoke, I laid still. Tatiana was purring softly. I checked my watch and it was closing in on 5 p.m. Then I heard it. A dull thump, barely audible. Tatiana, wake up. I heard something. I started honking the horn in the SOS pattern of 3 short honks, 3 long honks, and 3 short honks. Tatiana was softly chanting, please, please, please. We kept quiet for about a minute, and then we both heard it thump. I repeated the SOS. Then eureka, their probing pole landed squarely on my car. I laid on the horn and didn't let up until the pole crashed hard against the car again. We were going to make it. Pretty soon several poles were making contact with the car. I rewarded each with a hug. Even though you know you are going to be rescued, the longer it took, the more anxious I became. What's taking so long? Tatiana was snuggling against me as I leaned over the driver's seat. Every so often another probe would thump the car. Then we heard voices almost there. Hang in there. The sound of metal against metal was never so pleasing. I leaned on the horn again. A miner's light broke through the snow. An older fellow, bundled up, grinned at us. He cleared the snow away from the driver's door. I tried to push it open, but there was still too much snow blocking me. Another couple of minutes of shoveling and I was able to feel the door start to open. The sounds of his shovel against the door was followed by my door swinging open about 6 inches. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It was nothing, the man replied. Helping me, and then Tatiana, to the surface, we were greeted by darkness. There were probably 20 people with miners' headlights glowing. They covered us with blankets, offered a bottle of water, and then strapped us onto a toboggan. Is the cabin still standing? What cabin? My heart sank. We were staying at 24,269 Pine Way. There's 2 people in that cabin. He repeated my information into his microphone. After some back and forth conversation, he approached us again. We haven't found that cabin. It's too dark now, but we will be back again in the morning. Let's get the 2 of you to the hospital. You were under almost 15 feet of snow. We detected your car horn earlier this afternoon, which is why we are working into the night. Ready? Tatiana snuggled up to me, wrapping both hands around my waist, and we were dragged back to the emergency vehicles. A warm ride later we were inside the emergency room and attracting lots of attention. I needed 2 stitches in the gash above my right eyebrow. That was the extent of our injuries. We were well hydrated. There were no signs that the hypothermia had reached critical levels. Even so, we still spent the night in the hospital getting liquids and slowly returning our body temperature to normal. In the morning, Tatiana was released first, but she waited for me. I talked to the emergency workers. They found the cabin and there are signs of life. My heart was singing. I picked up Tatiana and swung her around, yes. After setting her down, she leaned in and kissed me on the cheek. Thank you. For what? For being a complete gentleman. You were so calm throughout. I don't know if I would have made it on my own. I know it would have been different with Steve. He would have completely lost it. So again, thank you. You're welcome, and thank you too. You kept your cool, which only helped me. Who's in charge of the rescue? I found the guy down in the cafeteria. I think they've set up a command center there. Well, let's go. The next 2 hours were brutal. No word from the search party. It was about 12:30 when we got the word. From the man in charge, there are 2 people alive. We need to get heavy equipment involved as the cabin walls have collapsed. They must have been lucky enough to end up in a place that wasn't completely smashed. Any guess as to how long before you get to them? Too soon to tell. I was giddy. Both alive. Please don't do more damage with your bulldozers. Then there was more waiting. A couple of hours later we heard his update, both out safely. They should be here inside 30 minutes. My eyes were teary. Thank you. Tatiana and I hugged again. I drained my cell phone, letting all the relatives know what had transpired. Nobody had a clue. Everyone knew we went skiing and didn't connect the avalanche with our trip. Now they were all frantic. I met Jeanette's stretcher, and Tatiana did the same with Steve. Both were tear-filled reunions. It was after dinner time before we were allowed into their rooms. We spent the first 10 minutes clutching each other and whispering I love you. Hey babe. How was your weekend? Lots of snow. Yours? Now that you mention it, yeah, there were a few snowflakes. Her giggles were music to my ears. Her kisses were warm and her hugs divine. Tatiana and I managed to climb into my car before it hit. How'd the 2 of you survive? Pure luck. We heard a loud roar and then boom, the chaos ensued. We had just set things down in the kitchen when it hit. I thought I was dead, but when the noise stopped, I realized I'd survived. It was pitch black and I heard Steve groaning. We had about 3 feet of clearance. We were in a spot about 10 by 20. That is lucky. Did you have any food or blankets? A few apples and a floor rug. I thought we were going to starve to death if we didn't freeze first. All we had were the parkas on our backs and that rug. Any injuries? I've got all sorts of small cuts and scratches. Steve twisted his foot really bad. How long are they keeping you? At least overnight. Our body temperatures are dangerously low. One nurse said she didn't think we would have made it through another night. I kissed and hugged Jeanette. They wanted visitors out. We'll get a good night's sleep. I'm going to get a ride home and grab your car. I'll take your clothes and bring you back a fresh set. Jeanette nodded her head yes, but then, almost in a panic, pleaded Dale, just leave them. I don't want a reminder of this. I'll throw them away. Her hands were reaching for the bag I was holding. Really, Jeanette, it's not a problem. You'll never remember that these were the clothes you were wearing. They're practically new. I got it. Dale, just give them to me. Please. Get some sleep. I'll see you in the morning. Dale, give me the damn bag. Jeanette, you're all wound up. Get some sleep. I'll see you in the morning. I think if she could have gotten up, she would have charged at me. Weird. I figured if I was being shown out that Tatiana would be too. I waited for her. Sure enough, the elevator dumped her into the lobby. How is he? A big baby. I swear he has no tolerance for anything unpredictable. How's Jeanette? Pretty good, I guess. She freaked out when I told her I was taking her clothes home. She just wanted to throw them away to erase the memory of this ordeal. Different strokes for different folks. Seems really odd. It's almost like she didn't want me to see them. I agree. Did you? Did I what? Leave the clothes? No, they're here in the bag. Can I? Tatiana took a peek. The look on her face changed immediately. Her eyes were wild. That bastard. They had sex. Look at her pants. They're still ducking gooey. There's a lot more here than one time. I'm going to kill him. Tatiana dropped the bag and headed to the stairs. The door slammed behind her. I stood there dazed. How could she? She's not acting like she was gripped. I slumped in the chairs. My heart was breaking and my eyes were misting. Rage was beginning to control me. 10 minutes later, security escorted Tatiana back into the lobby. One of the guards stood about 10 feet away and warned her to behave or he would toss her out. He said they thought they were going to die. He wouldn't tell me how many times. He said a few. We thought we were going to die, and we didn't. What the hell? I wanted to hit something. I couldn't ever remember being so mad. After standing silently for a minute, the tears were starting to trickle down our cheeks. My phone buzzed. I checked the alert. I've got a Uber ride showing up in 2 minutes. You can ride to my house and I'll drive you to your place. Okay was spoken quietly through her tears. It was an awkward hour. Both of us were hurting. When I pulled into her driveway, Tatiana leaned over and kissed me on the cheek. Hang in there, Dale. You too, Tatiana. Thanks for a fun weekend. A smile broke through the tears, one I'll always remember. My drive home was sad. My emotions were all over the board. Kill her, hug her, leave her, forgive her, and finally ask her why. Sleep didn't come easily. I went through the motions in the morning. What day was this? My phone said Monday. Oh crap, I'm supposed to be at work in 30 minutes. Grabbing some drive-through food, I stopped in at my office. After explaining my weekend, I was given today and tomorrow off. I went back home. Rummaging through Jeanette's clothes, I grabbed some sweats and appropriate undergarments. Then my rage took over. Ducking which, I went looking again. Last Halloween she'd worn a stripper's outfit. I found it, and a lacy thong. After grabbing her 4-inch heels, I spoke to the wall. She can wear this home. Since I had her drawers open, I decided to move her stuff into the office bedroom. She can figure out how to move things around so that the sleeper sofa can extend. Back to her bedroom, I gathered up the obvious women's bathroom supplies, filled a trash can with them, and then set the trash can in with her clothes. It took me a while to find the courage to enter Jeanette's room. Her parents and sister were fawning over her. Jeanette's eyes were red and puffy. I wasn't certain as to why. After hugs and kisses with the relatives, I stared at Jeanette mourning. Wanting to choke the life out of her, lost out to giving her a gentle hug. That's all I get. I simply nodded yes. She knew I knew. Her lower lip was quivering. Are they releasing you today? I think so. I responded well to the IVs and heated blankets. Even as bad as their food tastes, I can't get enough of it. Staring at her was making Jeanette uncomfortable. She couldn't maintain eye contact for more than a second. I'm going to get some coffee. Can I get anyone else anything? I'll go with you, son, came from Fred, Jeanette's father. Once we were in the cafeteria, he looked me in the eyes. What's going on, Dale? I'd have thought the two of you would have been all lovey-dovey after the ordeal you endured. Fred, I'm only going to confirm that all is not rosy in our household. I'll let Jeanette tell you her side. Sounds bad. It is. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. We brought a tray full of coffee cups and donuts up to the room. Jeanette was wiping tears away. After the tray was devoured, Fred rounded up his group and left. Before Jeanette and I could talk, her doctor came in and told her to start packing as she was good to go home. Jeanette took the bag of clothes I'd brought and went into her bathroom. It didn't take long. You want me to wear this? Act like a slut, dress like a slut. I thought we agreed no sex until Monday. Of course we also made some vows that got crushed by the avalanche. Her face collapsed and she slumped into the bathroom. She cried for 30 minutes. Jeanette was wearing the costume when she emerged. With her voice cracking, happy now? Not even close. Let's go. The nurse arrived with a wheelchair. The look on her face was that of pure astonishment. I left to bring the car up to the entrance. Everyone stared at Jeanette as she climbed out of the wheelchair and walked to the passenger door. I hadn't bothered to get out to help her. Riding in silence lasted about 5 minutes. We thought we were going to die, Dale. So did we, but we didn't duck up a storm. That brought the tears again. More silence. What happens now? Your stuff is in the office bedroom. The remainder of the ride was just the sound of her quiet sobs. When we pulled into her driveway, she gathered herself enough to mutter, "I'm sorry." So am I. With my car destroyed, I started the process of getting my insurance company to join the party. I ordered a Lyft ride over to the rental car place and picked up my temporary vehicle. I realized on the ride home that being around Jeanette right now was not something I enjoyed. I sent her a text, "Don't wait up. I'll be home whenever." Her response was quick, "Please come home, Dale. We can't solve anything if we aren't talking." Too soon. I spent the evening in a sports bar watching college basketball and NHL hockey. Seems like cheated husbands must give off a certain smell. A few hours into the evening, my waitress wondered if I was getting over a cheating wife. She warned me that I couldn't drink my problems away. I concurred. Jeanette was waiting for me when I stumbled in around 1:30 am. "I was worried about you." My slurred response was something along the lines of, "I wasn't worried about you." Pushing aside her attempts to hug and kiss me, I closed my bedroom door and dove into the middle of the bed. That's where I found myself when my bladder got my attention. It was almost 10 am. Jeanette left a note saying she was at work and that she loved me. I couldn't hang around the house as there were too many good memories, which only fueled my rage. Dressing for success, I showed up around noon and worked until 9. "Are you coming home tonight? I can cook." Too soon. After stopping to eat, I rolled in about 10 p.m. I had to work again in the morning and could ill afford to be hungover. Jeanette was curled up in her sweats on the couch. For the first time since Monday, her eyes were red and puffy. "We need to talk. Please don't shut me out." "What's there to talk about? You thought you were going to die, so you tried to duck yourselves to death." "You don't understand." "What don't I understand?" "Tatiana and I talked at length about dying. Our intercourse was verbal, not sexual. We had the same concerns as you. Were we going to freeze to death? Would we die of starvation? Would they find our skeletons in the spring when the snow melted? Unlike you, however, we wondered if each of you survived. How were your concerns any different?" The tears appeared again. "They weren't. We did talk about you guys. And then you decided they're probably dead. Let's duck." "Dale, no. It wasn't like that." "So why?" "I don't know. I guess I was weak and scared. I'm not as strong as you. Are you going to divorce me?" "I don't want a divorce. I really don't know. My skin crawls when I'm around you. The pain of betrayal is still too strong. Can I at least have a hug?" Opening my arms, Jeanette wasted no time in crushing my ribs. Her sobs lasted several minutes before our embrace was broken. "Good night, Jeanette. See you tomorrow." "Good night, Dale. I love you." This was the first time I'd had to deal with betrayal. If I had gone through this once or twice, in high school or college, I'd have learned that there is a tomorrow. Right now, I wasn't sure. I just couldn't fathom how supposed love lost out to lust. We lived in a standoff for the next few weeks. I really wished I had Tatiana's phone number. Was she divorcing Steve? If she did, would she move away? "Have you spoken with Tatiana?" "Not since she stormed into my room on Monday morning. I'm to never contact her again. She was not nice about it. Her language was blunt and brutal. She praised you for being a gentleman and her hero. She told me that you knew. That's why I was crying when you showed up." "Have you told your parents?" Fred suspected something right away. "Not really. I'm hoping we can get past this. The way things are going, it isn't likely, is it?" "I thought our flame was glowing hot, but you doused it." I'm just not feeling special around you. Something inside of me has died. Let's see how this next month goes and then I'll decide. Jeanette's eyes glistened with her tears. My soul was dead. I felt nothing. 4 more weeks and I was still emotionally dead around Jeanette. Jeanette, where do we stand? Can you give me one reason why we shouldn't go our separate ways? Because you're giving up on us. I did something I'll always regret, but it wasn't planned. It just happened. I call bullshit. Nothing just happens. It happened because you wanted it to happen. Jeanette was quite aggravated. Not true. Hell, for all I know you and Tatiana got it on. As calmly as I could. So, that's the game you want to play. Fine. How long have you been lovers? I bet it was good to get together again with Steve, wasn't it? Maybe it was the first time with Steve, but I wonder how many others there have been. Jeanette pulled her knees to her chest as she formed a bow. Each of my accusations were like a slap to her face. I continued, have you used our bedroom or just motels? Whatever you've been doing, you succeeded in keeping me in the dark. There. Are you happy now? I'm sorry, Dale. I shouldn't have said that. There are no others. There have never been any others. It was just a horrible decision on my part, and only when we were trapped. Please, can't we try to get past this? I can tell you one thing for sure, Jeanette, you just sealed our fate. I wanted a woman strong enough to resist. Now I know that you will always think of me as a cheater, of which I'm innocent. And I will always have to deal with wondering if you found another set of circumstances causing you to cheat again. I'm too young for a life like that. I'm filing for divorce. Oh God, no. Please, Dale, I don't want to lose you. Jeanette, I have to move on. Although my skin no longer crawls when I'm around you, the only feeling that's left is the pain. You couldn't have buried a knife any deeper into my heart. I'm going to instruct my attorney to file the petition for divorce. You'll be served here. There's no need to publicize this. Jeanette's eyes were wet, and her voice was cracking. I'm so sorry, Dale. I really am. I won't contest it. What happens to our house? I think we need to sell it. I don't want it, and I doubt that you can afford it. With a chalk-up response, okay. 2 days later, Jeanette was served at home. It was fair, as we didn't have much to split. I'd have to pay a nominal amount of alimony for 2 years. Since it was uncontested, the divorce was granted in less than 90 days. Jeanette tried hard to get me to relent, but I couldn't, or maybe it was wind. I moved out shortly after filing. As predicted, since Jeanette couldn't afford the mortgage, the house was sold and what little was left over was split 50-50. Initially, Jeanette moved in with her parents. She moved a few months later, but I don't know where she moved to. When I think of her, I only get mad and sad all over again. Taking revenge on Steve was tempting, but he wasn't worth it. If he's smart, he will avoid me, as I could change my mind about revenge. While the divorce was pending, I devoted my nights and weekends to finishing my masters. Some of my long-term friends were doing their best to hook me up with available ladies. Although I went on a few dates, I was still emotionally dead. The thought of starting a relationship landed with a thud. Is this what I have to look forward to? Although I wanted someone to share my joy, I only had family in attendance when I walked up the aisle to pick up my diploma. It had been 5 months since the avalanche. Having attended a few by invitation-only job fairs, I now had 2 very lucrative job offers. I loved my current job, but they really couldn't compete with these offers. They told me so when I shared the offers with them. I accepted a position on the West Coast, near Palo Alto. My belongings fit comfortably in my car. My new apartment wasn't any lonelier than the previous one. It wasn't any better either. I needed to get a personal life that included women. Many nights I'd stare at the television in my apartment. The television was off most of the time. I no longer knew what I wanted out of life. On one of those nights I remembered all of those text messages I'd compassed. Reading them warmed my soul. Telling those you love how much they meant to you was uplifting. I decided that I should start living the life of a single man. It felt like I was spying, or reading someone's diary. One by one I read the texts that Tatiana had compassed. She was far more talented in her writing. When I read the one to her mother, my heart started racing. It was near the end. I may not have married the man of my dreams, but at least I'll die in his arms. Jeanette is so lucky. I was on a mission. I had to find a way to get in touch with Tatiana. Jeanette's phone number no longer worked. I decided it would be cruel to ask her anyway. Thinking back to my conversations with Tatiana while awaiting our rescue, I thought I knew what city her parents lived in. One of the photo albums I'd taken had pictures of our wedding along with the fact sheet. That got me Tatiana's maiden name. It didn't take too long to find her parents. I left a message with her mother to have Tatiana call me. When Tatiana failed to call me back right away, my heartaches returned until the following week. Dale. Tatiana. Is it really you? How have you been? Oh Dale, I'm so glad you called. I've missed you so much. I'm doing great. What's going on in your world? Well, let's see. I finally earned my master's and then accepted a job on the West Coast. I've only been out here a month. Is Jeanette with you? No, I just couldn't get past it. We've been divorced for a few months now. How about you? Still with Steve? Nope. Same as you. We lived together for a couple of months, but it was too much for me to overcome. God, I'm thrilled that you called. What brought that on? Last week I was giving myself another pity party, and I found those texts we compassed when we thought we were going to die. Reading them made me feel better. Wow, I forgot all about those. Oh, I bet you read mine too. Man of your dreams, huh? I never knew. She was my best friend. Best friends never let things like that be known. And you didn't call me right back because I was on the road and my mom didn't think she should bother me with your message. She said you told her it wasn't urgent. That I did. So where's home now? Chicago. You said West Coast. Whereabouts? Palo Alto. We have an office in San Jose. How close is that? Palo Alto is about 20 miles away from San Jose, which is the airport I normally use. Maybe I could try to get my boss to let me visit that office. Or maybe I should think about visiting the Windy City. Really, Dale. It would be so good to see you. I'm not doing anything this weekend. I'm very familiar with where O'Hare is located, so I could pick you up. How about I check on flights for Friday night? Can you find a place for me to stay? Yeah, let me work on that. Well, you know, I didn't want any problems with your boyfriends. I'll deal with them. Are you sure your girlfriends are going to let you go without them? Great idea. They can entertain my boyfriends while you and I play checkers. I love your sense of humor, Tatiana. And yours is just one of the many things I love about you, Dale. We talked another 90 minutes. It was so good to hear her voice again. So many good memories came flooding back. It was all I could do to not think about Jeanette, but I managed. On Friday I went to work early and took off around 11 am. Taking the 1:45 p.m. flight to Chicago, I was back on terra firma just shy of 8 p.m. Having only my carry-on bag, I sent Tatiana a text that I was headed for passenger pickup. Dale. Over here. I lifted Tatiana up and twirled her around when we hugged. I received the warmest kiss I gotten this year. Glad you could make it. Hungry? Yeah, I should probably eat. Take me to your favorite place. Later for my favorite place. Let's go. Do you want to drive? Not really. You can have the driver's seat, just in case you need to relieve yourself. Giggling, can you believe what we had to do? I've thought back to that ordeal so many times. It was something. After a great meal at Texas Roadhouse, Tatiana drove back towards the highway. My heart slowed a little when she pulled into the Holiday Inn parking lot. Normally my out-of-town guests stay here. I have other plans for you, was said with a sparkle in her eyes. This won't hurt, will it? Only if you resist. I'm not about to be denied. Once we were inside Tatiana's apartment, she launched herself into my arms. Kiss me. I did just that and quite a bit more all throughout the night. After cleaning up, we fell asleep under the covers. I heard the shower running when sunlight warmed my face. Standing in her birthday suit and drying her hair with a towel, Tatiana greeted me, "Good morning, lover. Did you enjoy yourself last night?" I did. Was it a dream or real? Mine was both. You lasted a lot longer in my dreams. I stuck my tongue out at her. Get your bum out of bed. We have a full day ahead of us. It was a wonderful weekend. I must have finished 10 times. We parted Sunday night with tentative plans for Tatiana to fly out to San Jose in 2 weeks. When my turn to entertain was over, I knew I was falling in love with Tatiana. Her face, when we parted, told me that she might be having the same feelings. I got the confirmation midweek. Good evening, Tatiana. How's work going this week? Really good, Dale, which is why I'm calling you. They have an opening in the San Jose office. And I checked into it and I'm qualified. And I have some strong feelings for you, but if you aren't feeling the same, then I'm going to turn it down. Would it help you make your decision if I said I think I'm falling in love with you? Yes. Yes, it would help, or yes, you're going to think some more about the job offer. Smartass. Yes, I love you, and I'm going to take the job. We talked for another hour. I was tasked with finding a suitable apartment for us to share. Tatiana traveled a couple of times a month, so it had to be located within a reasonable striking distance to her office, the airport, and my office. Once she was confirmed for the position, her bags were packed. It had only been 6 weeks since she returned my phone call. Talk about life moving at the speed of an avalanche. We took it slow. Both of us still had deep-seated anxiety issues regarding relationships. Although we had a few shouting matches, we always managed to kiss and hug before going to sleep. I work with a lot of young women, which bothers Tatiana. She travels with men, what bothers me. It was during one of our tit-for-tat conversations, 10 months after we started living together, that we came to an understanding. I thought back to what I had told Jeanette, which was that I wanted women who could resist. I'm sorry, Tatiana. I've been insensitive. If you can uphold your vows when forced to sleep with the man of your dreams, then I have nothing to worry about when you are on the road. I don't trust the men, so please avoid those situations that put you at risk. Listen to me, Dale. I've been unfairly petty about you working with all those women. You proved to me, in the avalanche, that you can be trusted. I may not trust the women you work with, but I'm convinced that I can trust you. We stared silently at each other for a minute, then I dropped to one knee. I don't have a ring or anything, as this came up kind of quickly, but would you like to die in the arms of the man of your dreams? Pushing me backwards onto my back, then pressing her chest against mine, yes I would. Will I die quickly, or what did you have in mind? A very slow death, 50 or 60 years of torture. Sign me up. Epilogue. We enjoyed a small wedding ceremony in San Jose, followed by a honeymoon as far away from snow as we could find. We've never gone skiing again, nor do we have any desire to. Our careers became our children, but 8 years later we expanded our family when Sarah was born. She looks like her mother. Her sister Maggie came along 2 years later, and she's going to have it a little tougher, as she looks a lot like me. Through social media we learned that Steve remarried and fathered a child. We also learned that Jeanette had moved to Maryland and had 2 kids. Neither Steve nor Jeanette have made any attempt to contact us, nor we them. Those relationships were buried in an avalanche.